This is a crash course on knitting. These are the basics that you'll need to know so you can start making your first knitting project. But before beginning anything related to knitting, we first need to understand the yarn and what kind of needles we are going to need. When you decide what projects you want to knit, you'll need to buy yarn and needles, and I recommend deciding on the yarn first. Once you know which yarn you want to use, you'll also know what kind of needles you will need. Every yarn has recommended needle sizes for specific projects, and these recommendations help you achieve certain measurements, which is very important when knitting. For example, with this yarn from Viking Yarn, each ball weighs 50 grams for a length of 100 meters, and you're gonna need 3.5 millimeter needles. Then it says also that for 22 stitches, you're gonna get a width of 10 centimeters. This measurement is known as gauge, and it's essential for making sure that your project turns out the correct size. This is especially important because when choosing a project, you may not always have the exact yarn specified in the pattern. Understanding gauge will help you adapt the patterns to the yarn that you already have. We'll probably go more in depth on this in another video, but for now, if you can find a project that uses yarn you already own, that would be ideal. So today we're going to focus on learning the basic stitches, the cast on method and the cast off method or bind off, and some tips that maybe I know and can help you. So right now we're gonna use another yarn. First thing we're gonna do is to cast on stitches on a knitting needle, like this one here. We're gonna take a little bit. I usually take like an arm length. I can put directly 2 fingers in it, twist it, and take this one here. And there you have easy to make hook. The needles inside and pull one of the. So now we're gonna cast on, and this is like the short side, the long side attached to the ball of yarn. So what I'm gonna do is take 2 fingers, put them through the V, create a V, put the 2 fingers here, open, and trap the yarn with the other fingers. Again, I have this open like this, put my fingers inside, open, and trap with the other fingers, so that the 2 strands of yarn are firm, like safely put here and quite tight, and then 2 other I can like maneuver because now we're gonna cast on the stitches. So to cast on, first we take, so we have 4 strands here. We're gonna go through the first hole here from the bottom, and then through the top of the second hole inside, and then we're gonna pass it through inside this first hole, and we made 1. Again, slowly from this point of view, inside the first hole, the second hole, and then through the first again. Another point of view, like from here, through the first hole, second hole, and through the first again. We're gonna make 20 now. First, second, through the first again. Bottom up, top down, and through the first. And again, bottom up, top down, and through the first. Okay, now that we have made our stitches, like we casted on the stitches, we're gonna forget about this we're gonna forget, put aside. You're never gonna have to touch it again. We're just gonna work with the yarn. Now, how to hold your yarn and needle can be overwhelming, I found out, so I'm gonna show you how I hold mine to have some tension. So this is how I hold it, to have tension and control on the yarn. I can block the first stitch and pass it on. So it's important that you have your index finger here at the top to have control. And then I hold the yarn with the leftover fingers, with these fingers here. I hold it so that I have tension. The tension is very important. It's important to hold it here so that it doesn't escape, that you have keep the same tension throughout the whole project. The tension is basically this, that it's not loose, that you don't lose it. If you have tension, then keep the same kind of tension for the whole project. The other, also I keep it very close to the point of the needle. So let's start learning the knit. And the knit and the purl are the same kind of stitch. Just when you knit on one side, you're gonna have a purl on the other. This is a purl, this is a knit. Let's do it again. So I can show you, this is a knit. On the other side, we have a purl, this little T shape. And on the other side, we have a knit in a V shape. So this is a fast knitting. Fast knitting, you hold the thread on the left side and you're never gonna let go of the thread. And then to do a knit, you have the thread here around the needle. So you're gonna put the other needle through the first leg. Through the first leg, roll the yarn bottom up, and then you're gonna pull it out. Again, take the needle through the first leg, other point of view. You put it here, roll it bottom up, and then you pull this thread here and exit with the other needle. Again, I'll show you. If you don't pull, if you don't keep it in tension and it's just like there, you're not gonna be able to knit. That's why this has to be in tension and that you have full control on it, because you're gonna put it around and you're gonna pull it in the back so that you can pull this out. Again, pull it around. This is pulled like this. One mistake that many people do is to have the stitches so tight. But if you notice here, these are not super tight, you know. You work better, and it doesn't have to be in tension all the time, as long as when you pull it, it's in tension. So now it's in tension, and I pull it out. It's like with the needle, we're doing this movement. In the back, in the front, in the back, in the front. Just this movement to be able to make a stitch again. Now follow this movement, inside, around, and out. You don't have to do any like magic movement like this. It's just this movement, front and back, front and back, front and back, like this, as close as you can. You don't have, these needles basically have to touch all the time, front and back. Now follow the movement, put it in. I don't do anything, they just stay like this, and put it out, back and then front. It's the left hand that does most of the job. First knitted row. On the other side we have the purls. These are all purls because it's the opposite of a knit. And if you see here, we have the little lines. It's kind of like they're stopped here, the little lines. On the knit we don't have them, so if you see here, there's a tiny V. You'll see better the more we do it. So now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you how to purl. Now that you learned how to knit, we're gonna purl, and this is also a fast purl. When purling, the thread should be in the front, but I don't work like this. I work with the thread always in the back, but there's gonna be a way to do it so that it's as if the thread is in the front. So I start with putting the needle behind the thread here, because then it's as if it's in the front here, but we're gonna keep it in the back. We're gonna start like this and put the needle through the purl, through the stitch, through this circle here, through the stitch. And then what we're gonna do, now we have to do some magic. We're gonna do this movement. Like this. This is a bit more difficult at first, but once you learn it, it's gonna be much faster to knit and purl, of course, but like to knit. So we put the strand here, it's in the back, the needle here behind both the strand, the thread, and the stitch, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna grab the extra thread and pass it through the hole. Again, the needle through both of them, the thread, the stitch, rotate to have this in the back, and we grab the thread. Then I hold it with the nail, but you don't have to, and I just pass it through. Simple. Pass through both. Again, pass through both. Underneath the thread, through the hook. This is as if the thread was in the front, understood? But we keep it in the back, just for convenience, so we can alternate knit and purl faster. So through both, turn and grab the thread, and again pass it through. Again, grab under both, we rotate here, pass it through and out. So here the movement of the needle is easy. Go over the other needle, grab the thread, go over the needle again, pull it out. It's this movement. You're here, do like this. This movement. Again. take under both, over, grab, under, and you made a purl again. Like this. And of course, I do use my left index finger to help with this and make it easier for me. It keeps everything stuck, so I don't pull anything out by mistake. So, like this, and like this. Under both, hold with the finger. This is what happens. I hold everything there, so nothing escapes. Put it under the thread so I can pull it out. Okay, and here you can see the result for now. We have made 2 knitted rows, but a knit row on the right side and a purl on the wrong side. So you can see here the 2 V shapes. On the other side, the purl is gonna make this other like knot shape, like this. This is gonna be faster, so if you can keep my pace, then you're already at a very good point. This is the fast knitting. And see how I use my finger, the index here, to pull more stitches close to the end of the needle so that it's easier for me to work. And the thumb as well. I use the thumb also to pull the stitches more close to the point of the needle. There you go. Another row done, and we have 3 knits. Other side, we're gonna do faster purling, and it's normal. This is normal, don't you worry. Put it closer here. And there we have another row of purls and another row of knit on the other side. So this type of pattern is actually called a stockinette stitch, where on the right side we all have knits and on the wrong side we all have purls. And it's perfect to make any type of flat fabric, like for sweaters, socks, mittens, whatever really. This other pattern that we're gonna make is actually called a garter stitch. And it's when you see that this is all purl, but we're gonna knit here. And we're gonna knit front and back. And this is a perfect beginner pattern if you want to make like headbands or scarves. Then you just knit all the way, back and front. So I'm gonna show you this first 2 rows. So we finished knitting all the way through, and you can see here that we made a knitted line, and we have the V shape and everything, and on the other side we have a purl. We're now gonna fast pace this whole 2 next rows so I can show you what it's gonna look like a garter stitch. You can see already how the pattern is turning out to be. So here we knitted, but on the other side, and then we did a knit row on this side, and then we did another knit row but on the other side, so it's gonna be a purl here, and then we continue. Oops, oh, this is a perfect example. What happened here? I lost here a stitch, but what we're gonna do now, we're gonna like undo everything. No, we're gonna fix it. We're just gonna put it back, and then we're gonna knit it back on, but on the other side, and I'm gonna show you now how to do it. Let's turn the work then, and take the stitch that fell off that we put back on that needle, we put it on the other, and then we're gonna just have to knit, but instead of using the thread that we've been using until now, we use this little thread in the back. So we're just gonna take an extra needle to help us have like better grip on this tiny little thread that we're gonna use to knit on again the stitch. So all we have to do now is to knit back up. So we put the needle in through the first leg, and we take, with the help of the other needle, the tiny thread that we have in the back, and we're gonna just knit it as usual. Take out the extra needle, and we're gonna put the new stitch, or like the one that we had lost, back in on the needle, and we're gonna turn the work and continue. But oh, look at here, this stitch is twisted because this front left leg should not be like so much to the left compared to the back leg. Look at this one, this is how it should be, just like straight, while this other is a little bit twisted because see, the back leg is too much in the front. So we just take it and put it back on the other side, or at least that's what I did. I've been doing all this time. And we continue knitting as usual. And here we are. I made a few more rows of the garter stitch, and this is, let me show you, knitting back and forth. So here we have knitted, on the other side we did a purl, then we have a knit and a purl. This is because we knit back and forth, we knit, and as we know, the opposite of a knit is a purl, like this, and that's why we have this kind of pattern here. The last pattern I want to show you is called ribbing. We did stockinette, we did garter, the last one is gonna be ribbing, and it is very important to know that the ribbing is what we have, for example, here, like in the cuffs of a sweater, or like mittens, so whatever, it needs to be quite elastic so that you know, the hand can fit and then it just is not loose. So for example, I'm working on a sweater and this is ribbing. At the bottom I have this, which gives much more elasticity to a garment. And it may look like, oh, this looks like all knitted, but no, it's alternating knit and purl. So this is knits and inside is purls here, so we alternated a knit, a purl, a knit, a purl, knit, a purl. This is 1 by 1 ribbing and is a pattern that gives a lot of elasticity to a garment. But then how do we work this ribbing stitch now, this ribbing pattern? So to do that is super easy, and I highly insist that you hold the thread on the left hand, and just like it's gonna be much easier to work this type of pattern, because this way you don't have to move the thread from the left hand to the right hand and just waste so much time and energy. So we're gonna just like knit and purl, but since it's a very small thread, then let's just do 2 knits and then 2 purls here. It's just much more convenient to hold everything on the left hand, as you can see. And now we're gonna knit and then we're gonna purl again. It's always this cadence, 2 knits, 2 purl, depending on the project or whatever you're doing. You can do 2 knits, 1 purl, 1 knit, 2 purl, like as long as you're happy with the pattern that is coming up, then just do however you like it. But usually it's just 1 by 1, so like 1 knit, 1 purl, or 2 by 2, so 2 knits and 2 purls. And we'll continue with this pattern just until the end of the line of the row. And so we finish the row and we can see how it's always the same pattern. So you start with 2 knit, 2 purl, 2 knit, 2 purl, 2 knit, 2 purl until the end of the row, and we have to keep this for the whole length of the projects. Like however long we want this ribbing pattern to be, then we have to keep the same alternating knit and purl until the very end. So now we're gonna do the other side, and since in the back we had 2 purls, then like on the front we had 2 purls, then on the back side we're gonna have 2 knits, because the knit is the opposite of the purl. And we're gonna do again. Knit, knit, and then purl and purl again. And we're gonna continue with this pattern until the end of the row, always following 2 knits, 2 purls, 2 knit, 2 purls. And here we have the ribbing 2 by 2, so you can see that it goes inside, so like this. You can see that it goes inside, and this is perfect for wrists, for example, where you have like a sweater that has like a big wide arm. You can see you have the sweater here with a big arm, and you want to make the wrist much smaller so that it's comfortable. Then you can just do a ribbing 1 by 1, like in the white sweater that I showed you, or 2 by 2 as well, like here. 2 knit, 2 purl, 2 knit, 2 purl, 2 knit, 2 purl until the end, and always follow this on both sides, this pattern. And here you can see as well 2 knit, 2 purl, 2 knit, 2 purl, 2 knit, 2 purl. This is because the knit is the opposite of the purl. And voila, this is the 3 main types of patterns that I would recommend you learn and practice, so that when you're gonna start your first project, you're you're gonna be able to do it with absolutely no issue. And by knowing already like this type of patterns, you can already start with a few different projects already, like baby socks, scarf, headband. There are a few examples of projects with the patterns that we just learned. So this is garter stitch, this one here. And here is another project, this pair of socks. Actually, it's only one sock, ninja sock, because it has the toe, separate toe, which has those like the ribbing here, 2x2, and just a stockinette stitch here. And the last part that I almost forgot to record, but here we are, is the cast off. So once you have finished your project, so imagine this is like the end of my project, I have to cast off. The simplest way to do it is the following, but of course if you need to cast off a sleeve that you want a very elastic cast off, then I would recommend the Italian cast off. But otherwise I'm gonna show you just the simplest cast off you can do. And you can do, for me, you can do it in two ways. First with the needle, but second and easiest, if you have a crochet hook, then I would recommend this one for the simple cast off. It's just much easier in my view. So how it works is you knit one, you knit two, and then you pass the first one over the second, like this. Boom. And you closed off that. Again, now you don't have to knit two, you already have one. So you're gonna knit another one, knit, and then pass the previous one over the one we just made. And we casted off also this one. Again, another point of view, do it like this, and then we take the first one from another point of view here. Again, slowly we knit, and then to cast off or bind off, you just do like this, and see how we are closing the work, the project. Again, knit one, pass the previous over the new one, like this. Otherwise, we have the crochet hook, which I think is just faster, especially if you have done crochet before. And I have two needles, just two hooks, just in case like the small one maybe is too small. But how we do it is that I substitute the needle with the hook. And then we're gonna do the same. We're gonna knit one, and then we're just gonna pass like this. Again, we knit one, and we pass the new one inside the previous one. Much easier, no? Do again, pass it in. So we have the knit, and then we just take it, oops, here to the previous one. And again, make a knit, take the hook, put it out, and then pass it into the previous one. Again, this is just a simple bind off, and like this, super simple. Here, the new one, pass it in here, and the last two, take it, pass it here, and then here, the last one, make a knit, and we're gonna pass it through the last one. And there you have, you finished your project. But you can see how with this bind off it is not so elastic. Like, look how elastic it's here, but then here it's not elastic at all. So this is the maximum width it's gonna go. So it's not the best for necks, for cuffs. I would suggest for like projects where the finished product doesn't have to be like elastic. On the other side here we have an Italian bind off, this one here, and we still have the same thing happening. So this is the standard basic bind off, and here is the Italian, but we have the same ribbing pattern. So we have 2 by 2 ribbing, so 2 knit, 2 purl, 2 knit, 2 purl, and here we have the same 1 knit, 1 purl underneath here, 1 knit, 1 purl. But look, this is much more elastic. So this is better for like sleeves, for the cuffs of the sleeves, for the bottom of a sweater, much more elastic. But this is just perfect to start with, just quick and easy. And if you really want to properly finish, then you see you have the 2 extremities. This you're gonna cut around here, or maybe a bit longer if you want. You're gonna use a needle, a tapestry needle, and you're gonna just like in the back side and the wrong side, you're gonna just like do a couple of stitches and block it. Here the same, a couple of stitches, and then cut, and you're done with the project. So